And to other stories, a coalition of civil societies is calling on African leaders to stand in defense of the right to water and reject privatization schemes. They say water is not a commodity to be traded or sold to the highest bidder. Esther Mokbariola reports.
According to a recent report by the WHO and UNICEF, in 2020, about 387 million people in sub-Saharan Africa lacked access to clean water, and that's up from 350 million in 2000. With these alarming numbers, concerns arise about threats to communities' access to water, especially when it comes to the dangers posed by water privatization and corporate interests. This is why a coalition led by civil society groups and trade unionists is taking a firm stance on this issue.
You find that out. It is actually more expensive for the government to hand over water resources to these corporations that the government can, and we do have some sort of suggestions to the government in terms of how they can partner with other governments, in order to make sure that water is accessible to people. We are not saying that government, if they can, should make it free, but what we're saying is that it should be affordable, accessible, and the best of water that our people can get.
This kind of conversation, this kind of demands needs to be taken to the street. And that is why I'm proposing that starting from next year, we should have alongside the African Water Week an African Water Strike to highlight the crisis of access to water that continues to plague different African countries, despite the abundance of this natural resource across the continent.
Other strategies and approaches that can be adopted to ensure water security for all were also highlighted.
Made adequate provision for the water infrastructure, block all loopholes and leakages, and community control of water resources, as well as democratic control of water resources. These are different options that we've laid down for government, as against just selling our water infrastructure outright to corporations whose interest is only for profit and profit only.
According to these activists, water is a basic right and not a product. They are determined to ensure that water remains a shared heritage, a public good, and a fundamental right now and for generations to come. Esther Mokbariola, TVC News, Lagos.